Hello and good morning, everyone. A very warm welcome to my fellow panelists as well. Thank you, Bhavna, for introducing the topic. And this is a topic that I have often found myself pondering upon in the last couple of months. In the last 2 years, the workplace has changed, and it has changed forever. It's never, ever going to be business as usual now. And we have no choice but to adapt to the new normal. In these changing and challenging times that the global pandemic has wrought on us, I think we as CFOs have played a very important role in steering some of these short term challenges and managing them very effectively, whether those challenges pertain to productivity, to costs, or to performance. These have been steered by us very effectively. This is something that traditionally comes to us. But there are longer term implications as well of this pandemic. And some of those implications are the digital transformation that's happening, and the changing face of the workplace and the workforce. Now, do we as CFOs have any role to play in these long-term changes and implications? Well, yes, we have a role to play because these are going to stay forever. These changes are not going to go back again. And if we as CFOs don't embrace these changes, and I would say not just embrace these changes, lead these changes from the front, we will be called as inhibitors of change in the organization. We are not going to be viewed as somebody who's advocating this positive change. We are going to be viewed as somebody who's coming in the way of this change. And somewhere, I think if we don't embrace these changes, we are going to lose that edge that we have today in steering the direction that the organization is taking. So, in my view, I think we have to be acting as key partners in leading this meaningful transformative change. And becoming this catalyst for change is going to be one of the key challenges that we as CFOs, as finance leaders, are going to face in the coming years. But are we ready for this change? Are we ready to invest in these changes? Do we have the mindset or even the skill set in our teams to be able to steer these changes effectively? I know these are questions that make many of us uncomfortable, but we'll have to eventually get comfortable with the idea of being uncomfortable. And only then we'll be able to answer some of these questions for ourselves and be able to steer our teams, lead our teams meaningfully in the direction of these changes. With this, I would like to hand over to my fellow panelists to share their thoughts and perspectives on this very important issue that we as finance professionals, as CFOs, as finance leaders face today. So why don't we start with you, Sandeep?
Sure. Thanks, Vandita, and thanks, Pavna. Very good morning to all of you, and thank you for taking out time to listen to us. Now, when I first read the topic, right, CFO at crossroads, catalyst or inhibitor to transformative change, it appeared like a debate, right, whether CFO is a catalyst or an inhibitor. But when I saw the background of my fellow panelists, I was a bit relieved. My thank you to the organizers for having only CFOs for this panel. We will collectively put a case for CFOs as catalysts. Though I'll be happy to hear any differing views from any of the non-CFOs in the audience, so as to make the discussion a bit more interesting. CFO at crossroads, can be referred to as an intersection, CFO at an intersection of multiple responsibilities. Well, in order to validate the old adage that the only constant in life is change, one doesn't need to go any further than looking at the CFO role. In the current environment, CFO's role has moved away from just performing the traditional task of, say, accounting, managing payables, MIS, reducing cost, to also include being a change agent, being able to lead transformations, be a strategic partner to the CEO and the board, to manage risks, to contribute to the digital agenda, as well as to spearhead the corporate strategic development and execution. Hence, to that extent, it now involves looking forward into the future, understanding the trends, and then laying down the paths for the organization to achieve its objectives. CFO role, in my view, has become a source of competitive advantage for organizations. Let's look at some examples of where CFOs are currently getting involved, right? And how they're leading change in their respective organizations. The first example can be around value creation. So CFOs are best placed to understand the data, what drives the company's business because of the financial data they have with them and the analysis. The roles these days have been now further extended to leverage on this data and then work back with the respective departments. So for example, working back with the revenue or the sales teams and the distribution marketing teams to understand how we can grow our revenues at the right cost, both organically as well as working with CEOs and the boards to understand and how what to understand and focus on profitable offerings. Work with the management to understand how we can enhance the returns on the invested capital. Work with operations to understand the operational movements, etc. So, the role is ever widening here, and we as CFOs are able to now contribute to value creation rather than just analysis and reporting of the numbers. The second example we can take is around digital strategy. Now, again, as I mentioned, in most functions, in most organizations, CFO function is considered as a single source of truth when it comes to data. Now, in order to make best use of this data, CFOs are getting actively involved in activities like leveraging on digital technology to enhance the business intelligence, drive cross organizations through analytics, and also data visualization tools such that this data is better drive their understanding. Another example that we can look at is capability building and compensation strategy. So compensation strategy, along with the change of corporate strategy, now it's ever evolving. We have seen how COVID has impacted various things like work from home, compensation related to those aspects. So this again is an area where CFOs are starting to contribute. On the capability building, especially as businesses mature, you will see that there needs to be an empowerment of different business units to manage their own P&Ls. In this scenario, financial acumen becomes critical even for non-finance professionals across the organization. So for similar, so in our regular communications, there is an intent to share what we analyze, how we analyze, and how we take decisions to the broader group of people. Well, these were just a few examples. Let's talk quickly about how we can add to transformations. So our CFO's role has been typically involved in terms of transformation in measuring the performance of the change initiatives, overseeing the margins and how the cash flows are improving due to these initiatives, and then establishing key performance parameters. But where we can further add to this transformation is designing the transformation roadmap in entirety to maximize value, and then to take on lead transformation roles as well. So just to lead these transformations across the organization. So, I'd like to conclude by saying that CFO role is truly becoming almost like a CEO, co-CEO role. A true testimony of the same is in the life insurance sector where I belong to. And in that, in the last 2 to 3 years, many erstwhile CFOs have been promoted to CEOs in their organizations, and they continue to perform very well. This is an inspiration to me and to the fellow finance professionals. Let me end by a witty note that I read on the internet, which I would like to improvise upon. It said, "Welcome to finance, a department where everybody counts." In the current context, we can say, "Welcome to finance, a department where everybody counts, creates value, and transforms businesses." Thank you.
Sandeep, for sharing your views. Sanjay, would you like to go next and share your thoughts with us?
Yeah, thank you, Vandita. And Sandeep, I think you've done a fabulous job of made the task for the other panelists very simple. I think you have covered a lot of areas and also given some witty points. I would just add to that, and I just remembered and I say it in so many forums, and we all are cricket lovers. So a CFO role is like a wicket keeper. He has the best view of the entire cricketing, I mean, the entire field. And more often than not, the captain, when he's changing the field, do consult the wicket keeper. And just again connecting what Sandeep said, and if you end up being a wicket keeper as Dhoni, then obviously you're the captain or you're the CEO also. So I completely agree with Sandeep that the wicket keeper or the CFO play such an important role in today's world. Not he obviously manages the cash flows, he manages all the financial analysis and reporting, so we are not taking away any of those aspects from him or her, but we are only saying the empowerment to the CFO role is so much that he is well suited for the next role of running the ship, which is the CEO or the co-CEO. So I definitely agree with Sandeep, and we'll hear from the other co-panelists as well. I think today's CFO need to see a very big picture, and if they have the big picture, they can contribute a lot to the shareholder value, which is what is expected from any of the employees in the organization.
Thank you so much, Sanjay. You very well compared the role of the CFO to a wicket keeper. I think very aptly applies to all the CFOs. I never thought of it from that way, but thank you for giving a new perspective of looking at this role to me. So on, Ashish, would you like to share your thoughts? Ashish, you are on mute.
I'm sorry. Thank you for having me here. So I think the most of the things covered by Sudeep and Sanjay as well on the top of it. So I will cover a direct aspect of why CFO is kind of looked at that he's or she's is not a kind of a catalyst, just a innovator. So you see, the earlier days were where the financial or digital transformation, I will say, is more of kind of driven by the finance function itself. But nowadays, post pandemic and during the pandemic, there are many things and rapid changes organizational wide happening, and each and every department actually looking for to do something out of the digital transformation. So when the transformation is coming from some other department and you are not actually involved there, or you have not been keen to involve over there, and things are coming to the finance ultimately, and then you have kind of discussing some problem, actually then you are kind of seen as an innovator, not as a catalyst. So my advice to all of the CFOs is to kind of involve in all kind of a digital transformation now from a very start of it, involve there and share your perspective or your thoughts and how it can be collaborate with the finance function. So for example, I have kind of got a call from one of my colleague actually working in a big organization. So what has happened that during the pandemic, the way actually the attendance is being taken actually changed. So it was earlier a kind of a biometric or something. Now it has been made to a mobile phone and some kind of a location verification as well. But anyhow, when the things actually summed up, it was found by the auditor that the program actually itself was not correct, and then there was some audit observation. So my point here is to giving this example is to if the CFO was involved initially with the consultation with the HR, so probably this problem would not have come, and the data for the audit trail would have been kind of created there, and it could have been checked as well. The second aspect is more on the catch-up part as well. So basically, the transformation things now, they are 4x faster than earlier. So CFOs has to also build the capabilities inside the function itself. So I think the Sandeep has covered all the aspects. but I will say it's a more of a kind of inculcating the digital skills, right? So within the department, so we have to hire not only from the knowledge prospects as well. We have to also see that who are the guys actually who can contribute to the digitization of finance function. So this is the new skill within the department itself, apart from the GST knowledge, apart from the Ind AS, apart from the income tax as well. For example, when we go for a kind of any changes in let's say reporting part or the dashboard part, we have to also be very clear about what is the outcome actually which we want, and what would be the roadmap, the, let's say, a kind of business analytics. So what are the things actually, the loops and the path to get the data into a dashboard, and then only actually it is more meaningful. The outcomes are kind of the way actually we are thinking of. So I think this is the one of important aspect I will advise all the CFOs to kind of look at the digital skill as well. And not only looking at the digital skill, also they have to also enhance their digital skill. Even in the IT itself, what kind of programmings are there? How is the functioning of the ERPs in the companies? What is the integration between the operational ERP or the HR ERP and the finance ERP? Yeah.
Sorry, were you saying something else?
No. I'm done.
Okay, thank you so much for sharing your valuable perspectives with us, Ashish. Let's hear from Mayank now what his thoughts are on this topic.
Good morning, everyone. I think Sandeep, Sanjay, and Ashish have anyway covered almost entirely. But what I would like to say is CFO is no more just a functional head, right? Not just any other function. You are not just a finance function head. CFO today acts as more of a co-pilot, right? Along with the CEO, or as Sandeep said earlier, as a co-CEO. And you are more than just a finance controller or finance partner. He is a person who is driving the business, who has to partner with the CEO to drive the business entirely. So that's one of the major fact which we have to keep in mind. Now today, the way changes are happening, right? So CFO has to be the catalyst for change, because then that is the one of the most important challenge in front of CEOs, CFOs, and we are already in the stage of transformation, and it will continue like this. So, and this is going to be a significant transformation from finance, with new technologies readily available in the market, to help drive efficiencies and insights. So CFOs need to drive these and be on the forefront of changes. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayank. Thank you for sharing your perspective. Over to you, Nilesh.
Thanks, Vandita. Thanks. I think most of the points have already been covered by all our panelists. So limited points for me. But I would say that, as a CFO is a function which they are always used to multiple changes. Which is a part and parcel to their job roles and the responsibility. Now, if you ask me for CFO, the big change which is coming up, which is the big change which is expected to come up shortly, as the date is still not been decided, which is IFRS. So IFRS, which is also going to be a big game changer, and it is I would say that we all have to unlearn to learn that what is IFRS. So that as a CFO, that kind of quality which we already have, like unlearn and then try to learn a new things. And that's why all the points which the respected panelists, which you have already mentioned, and because of which CFO as a role very well get placed into it. So like CFO, so that's one of the important point to mention. Also, if you ask me, CFO is the function who always believe in data. So there was one saying by one of my previous experienced senior. They used to say, there was one board which was put into their cabin, which used to say that as a CFO, I believe in data or I believe in God. You are not God. Please get the data with me so that we will be able to take that decision. So that's why, so data plays a very bigger role for a CFO, and the change, which I think CFO, as a CFO, we are well versed with it, with lot of regulatory changes every year, something or the other changes which comes up, and we have to get that implemented. These are the two important point that we have to mention. But otherwise, if you ask me, pandemic has created multiple challenges, and whatever there are challenges, it's an opportunity. I would say, as a CFOs, how you take up that opportunity and how you make your team to take up that opportunity is very important. So as a CFO, that is also one of the big game changer. Yes, CFO is the one of the critical resource within an organization, who has to be shoulder to shoulder to the CEO to take a lot of other critical decision. Not only nowadays, not only taking a critical decision, being a partner, visiting the different dealers, different channel partners, and being a partner to it, how to drive the business. It's not like previously it used to be like CFO used to do a lot of data massaging, give it to the respective top level management, and then the decision jointly taken and get it implemented by some other party. No, now CFO has to be partner to get that implemented as well. So these are 2 or 3 critical points, which is from my side. But other critical points, I think the panelists have already considered. So not much to say or not much to repeat on that. Yeah. Thanks, Nandita.
Thank you so much, Nilesh. I do have a couple of questions for my fellow panelists now. So the first question is for you, Sanjay. We have just heard from every one of you. I think almost every one of you has said that CFO's traditional role is changing. It is an evolving role, and we have always been, like just Nilesh just said, we have been a change agent always. So Sanjay, could you elaborate a little bit that do you think the CFO has the ability and the skills today to move beyond their traditional roles? I would love to hear your thoughts on that.
Thanks, Vandita. So, I mean, all of us are finance professionals here, so we understand what is traditional role. The traditional role, as you know, few of us already spoke, managing cash flows, reportings, and stuff like that. Now, first, I don't want to say that we have to forget, or the existing CFOs don't have to do the traditional role. So let us not say this is either or option. So this has to be done. Who else is going to do this role? But the only thing is that Nilesh was saying now, and others have said, that there is a layer of data which has come to us. An enormous amount of data, like in Jyoti Labs, we have a SAP which is there. Everything is automated. So the amount of reports which can come are far more than what it would have been earlier. Or earlier, the CFO's role would have been just to manage either manual or Excel files to make sure that those reports are available. So the point I'm saying is, one, don't forget that the traditional role need not be to be done. One should focus on the strengthening the processes and ensuring that the compliances in the organization are done perfectly. And then only one should step out and think that he can be a super CFO or he can be a change agent. I think all those things will take off from there. That is one thing. Second, I would say is, nobody can, or as a CFO, what is a core role of dealing with numbers, can become a change agent unless you understand the business in and out. I think I'll just spend 5 minutes on that, and then I think that's my only key point, that you can become the change agent, or the question which you asked, how do you look beyond traditional role? The only way you can do is by understanding the business, because all of us have been in this role. Maybe, all of us are in the mid-40s. The big pushback which comes from an HR department or from an IT department or from a sales department is, boss, do you really know our business? Right? You haven't gone to the market, or you haven't done any sales job that you will know what challenges do we face. So the first thing is, like we are in FMCG business. So if in FMCG business, I have not gone to the market in Tamil Nadu and in Orissa and in Maharashtra and in Himachal Pradesh and done the sales beat, by like going and selling in shop to shop, I don't think so I have a right even to go and speak or, even think about a strategy or bringing the business change. So I think the first and the foremost is, we all are good accountants. We all have done our whatever basic accounting books. So, we can manage balance sheet P&L. we can do IFRS and all other reporting structures. But if you really want to have that X factor in you, like my folks, I mean, other co-panelists, few of them are from insurance industry. If they have not done their sales job of, selling insurance policies or dealing with their clients, dealing with the customer service, like in our business, if we do not know how a product, what is the consumer thinking when they are picking up a product, how much a PKD on a pack makes a difference, how does a fragrance change from South India to West India in a detergent powder. All I'm trying to say, until and unless the CFO or the finance professional understands the business in and out, it is impossible for the person to take a larger role. Then I think becoming a CEO or co-CEO and expecting that the other business owners will call you for a meeting also is not going to happen. So I think that's very, very important thing. And somewhere I will say the traditional mindset, I mean, I've also done my CA 99, 2000, 20 years back, the general perception was calling a CFO in a meeting is he's just going to say no. He's just going to say no cost, right? So I think first we have to get away from these taboos when people say, oh, he doesn't understand the business and he's just going to come and say, okay, cut the cost, cut the, he's just going to be a no, he's just going to be a break. So people then, try to get those people out of the room and say, look, he doesn't understand it. Let's just do it. What is his job in any case? And we'll move on. So yeah, I think those are my few softer points. I would urge people who are listening this conversation. It's not a tough job. It's an easy job, but it's just a mindset which you have to change if you really want to be more respected in scheme of things.
Thank you so much, Sanjay, for sharing your valuable perspective with us. It is certainly very important to understand the business in and out, and it is not either or. It has to be both. We can't do away with our traditional role. That is something that has to go on. The show has to go on, and besides that, we have to embrace other things. So thank you so much. My next question is to Ashish. Ashish, post-COVID, the way the business is conducted has completely changed. Digitization is not a choice anymore. Organizations will have to embrace it if they have to survive in today's day and age. But this is also an area where benefits are very hard to see. It's not the traditional way of calculating benefits. So how do you suggest that the CFOs and the finance leaders approach this new trend? Ashish, you are again on.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. So thank you for this question. So basically, I will also add to, and I totally echo with Sanjay as well, Sanjeev as well, that a CFO has to know the business. This is the first requirement of now delivering on the expectations. Coming to this question, in COVID situation and those year and a half back, we have been seeing that lot of cost element were disappearing. So for example, the leases or travel cost or any of the infra cost which is not there. Now, as the situation is coming to normalcy, we are seeing that the earlier cost components are coming back. And then you have new challenges in terms of the growth, because the organizations now trying to grow their business as they can, and to coming to 2019 level or 2018 level. So that is also you have need of capital now. Simply looking from the customer's perspective as well. So they are also growing their business. They also need the capital, and hence there is all possible chances that if you are into B2B business purely, then you would also have your delayed payment from customer side. So it means that the receivables are also tight. Then you look at the supplier side and you find that supplier also growing their business. They need more capital because they are smaller in the size, and you have to also pay them. So ultimately there is a need for the capital. This is the new trend which is coming up. And the recent one is, you would have heard about that this time the monetary policy is not that much accommodative, looks like accommodative, and the rates would be going high. So cost of capital is going to rise. This is the one aspect CFO has to look at, the fund planning and the allocation part as well. The earlier cost and the new cost as well, those are also now coming into place. So a kind of a tight allocation would be there, and you have to here actually what I will say, the Sanjay's comments would be helpful, that you understand the business, you understand the things actually in the market, because when you say that this would not be there or that would not be there, then you would be looked at a emitter, not as a catalyst. So this is the first point. Now coming to on a let's say I will also touch upon the P&L part as well. So recent trends for CFOs to look at is on a earning growth. I'm not sure about all of you, but there is a data point which is there. So you would have seen that the gap between the wholesale price index and consumer price index is being increased from 5% to 5-6% earlier. It was in a year back. Now it's close to 9-10%. What does it mean, and what is the kind of inference for the CFOs to look at? When you have that much of gap, which is increasing, it means that the corporates are not able to pass on the cost to the consumer, and therefore the inflation. So the CPI actually on the lower part, and the gap is increasing. So if the corporates is going to pass on the cost, it means the inflation would further increase, the CPI would increase, and if you are not able to pass on the cost, that means that your bottom line, your earning growth for Q3 or Q4 going to impact. So this is also one of the aspect I think going forward in this scenario the CFO has to look at. And finally, I will conclude here that wherever we have a kind of a ROI calculations, whether we should do digitization or what kind of capex should be there or not there, the lenses, the aspects should be, of course, a kind of your understanding of the business. You discuss it properly and analyze it, then actually you come out with your kind of comments. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ashish. My next question is to Mayank. The changes that you see coming to the workplace and the talent strategy of the company, and how do you think that the CFO can play a meaningful role in those changes?
Thank you. Thanks for your question, Vandita. So I think one of the biggest lasting shifts from this pandemic in last couple of years has been the arrival of a hybrid working model, right? And during the challenging period of lockdown and fully remote workforces, there was a level of consistency and uniformity. Everyone was working online, right? Everyone was in front of camera almost all the time. But now we have moved to a kind of hybrid environment, which can be lot more disparate and harder to manage, right? A typical office is beginning to look quite different now. So, and beneath that lies a fundamental resourcing question also for CFOs, which we have to answer about how organizations will adapt to this enormous shift, and how is that going to be funded, right? And in many ways, for all these challenges, the year of pandemic was a strong tailwind for digital finance transformation, and it has impacted digitization in a huge way. Now, what it has changed, the pandemic has changed in fundamental ways, is also what employees expect from organizations, right? And what are their expectations, right? And these new expectations have rendered the traditional employee value propositions obsolete, right? And more than ever, employees want to feel a sense of shared purpose with the organizations. And if our employees are not aligned with organization's purpose and value proposition, they are going to leave, and in the long term it's going to prove expensive for the companies, because you will have higher attrition, and then the cost of candidate attraction goes up. And so we need to put more money into action on what is truly valued by employees and stakeholders. It's a difficult risk reward decision, because the answer will be different for different organizations and different workforce based on, with the generations which you are working with, right? But CFOs should understand that the scope of investing in people is now significantly expanded to include upholding modern standards of what you can say sustainability and diversity. Now, coming to the second part of question, the talent strategy. So that has to be built around, I think, three key pillars, which is driving performance via flexibility. Now, employees want flexibility, and the studies have proved that in a flexible work setting, they are much more productive. Second is, as I already said, creating a shared sense of purpose. And third is building deeper connections with your team, with your people, right? And for the finance functions, in addition to these, we CFOs need to hire, retain, and develop digital skills in finance. It's not no more just the technical accounting standards or IFRS skills. We have to look for more digital skills. So, in to summarize, I can say, these three overlapping waves of transformation are going to affect CFOs whether they are prepared for them or not. The choice is to take an active role in shaping and driving these changes, or to be left behind and then seen as an obstacle in the progress of organization. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mayank. Of course, we don't have an imperative now. Either we take charge of the changes or we are left behind in the organization. So thank you for sharing your perspective. My next question is to Sandeep. Sandeep, how do you think the CFOs can role model themselves, the new mindsets and the behaviors? How can they role model these mindsets and behaviors that transformation in today's day and age required?
Yeah, thanks, Vandita. I think to start with, I'll go back to what Sanjay mentioned, right? Very, very important to have the basics right. So the business well. Let's dive a bit more into what is it required to lead business transformations. What are the skill sets and the behaviors required? So the first one with that I'd like to call out is understanding value drivers. Do you really understand how everything is coming together to create value for the shareholders and for the society in general? What becomes very critical here is, do you understand the big picture? Are you able to connect those dots? And why CFOs can be best placed is because for all practical purposes, CFO is less of a functional but more of a corporate job where you are working day in and day out with various functions, understanding these drivers and trying to create value. The second skill critical for any sort of business transformation would be ability to forecast a project forward and look for and spot trends early. You're not doing a transformation to manage something tomorrow. You are leading a transformation to manage the business in a longer run. So it's important to understand and what's going to happen in the general environment and how it impacts the business. So it becomes very critical. Again, if as a CFO, if someone has spent adequate time around business planning exercises, the skill comes very, very handy. The third skill which I would call out is agility to course correct and stay agile. Very, very critical in today's VUCA world. COVID struck and all of us were there deciding on our toes which offices to open, which to close, whether to give away our facilities or continue with them for a while. And all these have implications, business implications, right? So very, very critical that we understand and we course correct, because we might decide, in 3 years where we want to go, but in 6 months time, all that can become obsolete. So important to stay agile. The fourth aspect which you touched upon and Ashish talked about it is digital acumen. So if you actually search on internet, talk about business transformation, I can tell you 95% of the results will only show digital transformation. You have nothing, you don't have a business transformation outside of digital transformation. So digital becomes a very key aspect of any sort of transformation. So very, very important to stay, the technology is ever changing, new things are coming up. How do you make best use of that for your business and to create value for shareholders? The fifth and the very, very critical point, while some of the aspects that I've spoken about are more hard skills. The fifth one is the soft skill, but the hardest of all is the ability to collaborate. Y- you know, transformations are not for individual contributors. You can't lead a transformation project as an individual contributor. So it has to be a team manager or a leader who can, take people along, work with, different people from different backgrounds, understand their, ideas, thoughts, processes. So very, very critical aspect, I believe, while I've spoken about this in the last, but this is the biggest. So in summary, it's the ability to understand value drivers. It's the ability to forecast or project forward and spot trends early. The ability to course correct and stay agile, digital acumen, and finally ability to collaborate. These are my points on building for skills for business transformation.
Thank you, Sandeep, for touching upon these very important mindset changes, skills that we as CFOs need to develop in ourselves. My next question is to Nidesh. Nidesh, while Sandeep spoke about some of the mindset changes, the skills that we need to develop in ourselves as CFOs, but one very important aspect of driving this change is to have our teams going along with us. And one of the questions that I often ponder about is that do we, our teams, even if they want to, do they have the skills, the ability to be able to lead these transformative changes? And if not, what can we do to develop those skills in our teams?
Thanks, Vandita. Thanks for this question for me. But on this question from a team management or a team upskilling, I don't think so anybody can have a single mantra. I would say I will not use the word of how to develop and all these things, because everybody has to play a different role, how to create and upskill the team. So if you ask me as a leader, if we have to progress, your team also has to be aligned, or team has to have also need to have that same kind of skill in the way you are running and in the way you want to run the whole show. So your progress or your success or your failure would depend upon the upskill of the team that is there with you. And that's why this is one of the very critical factor of team upskilling, that is developing the team skill set, which is one of the very important factor to it. And if you ask me, since 2000, after the globalization, this team, the generation which is there now, I would call it as a second phase of the generation. If you see in the first phase of generation, there was 3 priorities for any of the employees, which was food, clothing, and shelter. Any of us, it was food, clothing, and shelter. But now, this kind of generation, it is always what is a value addition that is happening, both from they adding a value to the work, or we adding value to their skill. So that's why as a leader or as a CFO, it's one of the most critical or most trickiest question to decide with how we want to upskill the team. But yes, it is a part and parcel of a job, and that's why this is also one of the skill set, or this is also one of the questions that we need to manage with. And if you ask me, we have to stop, we have to think and evaluate and then decide what we want to do. And that's why somewhere we have to stop ourselves as well, because pandemic made us to think about the way we want to deal or way we want to take care of this question by stopping ourselves, trying to evaluate how previously it used to happen, what is the change or the dynamic change that has happened in the current market, and how we want to take it forward, or to take it forward with the team upskilling point of view. This is one of the important point which I want to mention with. But otherwise, if you ask me from the mantra or from the related to the team, it overall remains the same. It is like how we are the development of the skill is more towards how we are trying to create scope and opportunities for the employee by developing their talent and their skill. Yeah, but it is all depend upon this pandemic, because now in this pandemic, if you ask me, along with the skill development, soft skill development is one of the critical factor that is there, because of multiple sector wise, the virtual kind of or a different dynamic kind of work culture that is coming up. So that mix and match, which is also very critical factor that needs to be looked into. It is more of a question that as a leader we have to take care of in the direction towards the development of the team that is there. But yes, end of the day, team development will play a bigger role for our success. We are, if the team is, it's not that we are successful then the team is successful. No, the days has gone. The team is successful, then only we are successful. And that's why the success of the team is possible only with the upskill of the team with respect to the knowledge, with respect to the with the current dynamic, which is more of digital training, like IFRS kind of training or other soft skill kind of training. This all will play a critical role. If there is there's a big list to it, so I don't want to point out all this, but these are all the broad parameters which I always think of as a leader to take care of the team. Yeah, so that's from my side.
Very well said, Nilesh. Thank you. Now we can maybe open up for questions and answers. Do we have any questions from the audience?
Hi, Vandita. Well, we're just scouting on the audience questions, but meanwhile, I just request you, currently we don't have, I just got a confirmation from the team, Vandita, but since we do have some time, I'd love some closing thoughts from you and the panel, please.
Yeah, sure. So who would like to start first with the closing remarks?
Maybe I can go. Ashish, please go ahead.
No, you can go ahead.
No, Ashish, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Sanjay. So yeah, so I think we have covered all the aspects, and it's a more of, again, coming to I am just zeroing down to a point which actually Sanjay has raised, and which is I have in my past 10 years of this experience, and I'm seeing how the things are happening, not only in our sector, but also in the other sectors as well, looking at the startups and things. So CFOs, actually, they have to be very careful about the understanding of overall ecosystem. So while I talk to my chief marketing officer, so sometimes he would say that you don't know the market. So how do you then talk about the budget, what we have to do, what we have not to do, and what is your view on the further capex? So this is the one point you have, and of course we have to then even come out of my overall this responsibilities and go outside the market, go to the field offices. At the same time, there is another cap to where is the other part of your traditional responsibility. Be very careful about it. So when the income tax notice is there, and ultimate outcome, and so you as a CFO is responsible. When the GST notice is there, you as a CFO is. So these are the traditional aspect. They are not actually related to your digitization or whatever. Though the things are coming to digital things, GST is now becoming digital, income tax is now become digital. So things are actually easing down, but you have to also be one of your foot actually is in your traditional periphery, and one of your foot is outside your periphery, which is the requirement of the today's world, the other departments. So I think you have to be more agile, what one of my friend covered, and look around the business and keep going. Thank you.
Right, thank you. Could we have the other panelists as well to contribute on the closing remarks?
Yeah, I can share a quick thought. So we spoke about, what all needs to be done and, where we are already engaging versus where we need to engage further. One of the thoughts which I thought worth sharing is some of the areas that, it's my personal view that I am still learning and, hoping to make good progress are two areas. One is when as the role expands, you will start seeing a lot of conflict of interests, right? As a CFO, you have to manage certain things, but as big, as a business promoter or a partner to other, fellow colleagues, there are other things that you have to do. So how do you make, have the right balance? There are times where I struggle, something which I need to learn over a period. And the second is the time allocation, right? While there are lots of things one can do, but there is 24 hours one has. So how do you allocate your time in the best manner that you can create maximum value? So these are the two things, which I thought, worth gaining more experience on.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you for that. Mr. Agarwal, would you like to go next with your closing thoughts?
Yeah, I think, we spoke a lot about everything, but I think it's also important that the CFOs also need to upskill themselves.
Right.
In the sense, say like for, again, maybe few people who are on the panel, we've been chartered accountants or MBAs or in finance for the last 15, 20 years. I think there is a time when we should also go to whatever we think, like Sandeep said, if I need to learn something about technology, something about AI and machine learnings, or go to some business school for a 3 weeks or 6 weeks program. I think some of these things are also important to know outside world also. And I, for one, attend some of these conferences as a panelist just to learn from other co-panelists what's happening around in their businesses and what everybody is speaking. So I would say, because you can only add value if you yourself have some value in your inherent, thing. So keep learning by attending some conferences, some seminars, and some business courses at regular intervals.
Right. Thank you. Thank you for that. Mayank, would you like to contribute?
Yeah, so I think I completely agree with what Sanjay said, and we need to be continuously keep ourselves updated as well as connected to the business and the market, right? Whichever business we are into. Otherwise, it's not, not easy to just, continue sitting in your office and saying what is acceptable, not acceptable, or, works or not works, because you have to understand the market and its dynamics. I myself keep visiting now over last 4 months have started going out to whether it's plants or sales offices or even meeting customers, because then you understand other side perspective as well. And we have to be integral part of any transformation or any change in the organization. Otherwise we cannot drive it, and we'll not succeed.
True.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mayank. Nilesh, your closing thoughts, please.
Yeah, I think more in line with what everybody is mentioning. So basically, try upskilling your skill, and not only yourself but also your team, because your team also has to be aligned with your bigger goal that you want to achieve. And and also trying to compare like our role, like it's like a batsman playing there on the pitch. You never know what kind of ball will come in, which is like which is a googly ball or a straight fit or how it would be. So you have to be ready with that kind of question that would be there. So you have to be ready with that, because I've seen that in my this kind of role, you get question of everything, which is your marketing, your sales, your strategy, IT, technology, everything. So you have to be ready with all kind of question, and that's possible only if you upskill yourself. Try reading, because learning should not stop, because if the learning because the way the dynamic and the way the market is there, you should keep upgrading yourself, keep learning, and try to see to it that your team is also learning. So this is one of the critical factor, because If your team win, because I always say that your team wins, then only you win. It's not you win, then your team win. No, your team has to win.
Absolutely. Well said right there, Nilesh. Vandita, of course, being the moderator, we'd love, certain final thoughts from your side as well. Of course, you've done a wonderful moderation, so we'd love to hear from you.
Sure, thank you, Bhavna. And I would really like to thank my fellow panelists for sharing their perspectives on this very important topic that is likely going to shape the role that the CFOs are going to play in the coming years. I have personally learned a lot from listening to your perspectives, and there are a lot of takeaways that I am taking with me. I think finance traditionally has always led change. We have been at the helm of all the changes, major changes that the organizations have gone through. We have continued to learn and evolve through those changes. So I'm sure that in this very important change in terms of digitization and in terms of change of workforce, the dynamics, I don't think finance is going to be left behind, and we don't have a choice there. So I would like to sum up by saying that we need to open-heartedly embrace this change and prepare ourselves and our teams with the shift in mindset and the skill sets which are required for this.
Right. Absolutely. Thank you so much, Vandita. Well said and so concisely put. With this, I'd really like to humbly thank all our panelists for your valuable time. Of course, it's a weekday and all of you must be working and have your agendas.